Now let's get more on the second U.S. presidential debate and the fallout. Lincoln Mitchell is a research scholar at New York's Columbia University. He's also the author of the book, The Democracy Promotion Paradox. He's joining us from New York. Good to have you with us. And speaking of fallout, what do you make of the fallout of the tape when it comes to Donald Trump? Did he manage to contain it at the second presidential debate?
Strangely enough, he appears to have at least partially contained it. And this is striking because Saturday morning, Friday afternoon, the Republican Party was in panic, and they were furious at him, and they were outraged. And it turns out that, a mediocre debate performance, and they're not so outraged. And that really shows the Republican Party at its core maybe wasn't so upset about the substance of what Trump was saying, but because it was damaging his chances. Now, I don't want to tar everybody with that brush. I think a lot of people were genuinely outraged. But his debate performance should have been irrelevant to what he said on that tape. And to be clear, on that tape, he boasted about committing sexual assault. That is an extraordinary thing for anybody to do, let alone somebody who was running for president of the United States. And that's something that we shouldn't shrug our shoulders at because, he had a good debate. A good debate by his standards.
But did he have a good debate? That's what I wanted to ask you. And you keep mentioning his performance. Now, if you look at the video and if you watch the debate, you couldn't help but notice how present he was, especially when Clinton was speaking. Some people even saying that he was lurking creepily behind Clinton. Do you think that was all intentional? And what do you make of his body language?
So I think the body language specifically, I would make two comments. I live in New York City. I'm sure your viewers, are scattered all over the world. I think in many urban places, if you saw somebody like Donald Trump with that body language walking down the street towards you, you would cross to the other side. Because it seems so strange and perhaps dangerous. And with regards to how his body language towards Hillary Clinton, it was appalling. It was appalling both the way he couldn't seem to just look at her and listen while she was talking. It was appalling, as you say, as he lurked behind her, as a large man lurking behind, an average-sized woman, average-height woman. This is a frightening dynamic, and it really speaks to his anger and his hostility. Another thing I would point out is if you go back and look on YouTube or something at the debate itself, when Hillary Clinton was asked a question, she would look at the person, in the audience who raised the question as she tried to answer the question. When Donald Trump was asked the question, he would turn and look at Hillary Clinton. Now, of course, the main reason for that is that he wasn't answering the question. If you had asked Donald Trump, hey, by the way, where's a good place to get a hamburger near the debate hall, he would have found a way to turn that into attack on Hillary Clinton. So his body language betrayed that as well.
I got to ask you about Hillary Clinton, what you make of the way that she's handled Trump's attacks on her husband, Bill, and his past.
Well, one thing to note is that Hillary Clinton is running for president of the United States. And the polls we saw even Friday before all this broke suggest she's in a very, very strong position. Barring something extraordinary, we are now late in the game. The election is 4 weeks from tomorrow. The polls today show her anywhere from 5 to 14 points up. There's one outlier. She's running to be president. What she wants to do is not screw up, not make such a big mistake that becomes headline news. Donald Trump, in the world of reality, rather than the kind of fantasy that has become his mind and those of his supporters, he doesn't have a chance of becoming president. And that frees him. The swing voters here, the undecideds in most of these polls are 12, 10%. She's got a 5 change lead. People who are undecided 4 weeks out, they tend, in many cases, not to vote. Moving 11 points in 4 weeks. Is there
anything that Trump can do now to swing those undecided voters? Because they do carry a huge amount of weight at this point, don't they?
Well, no, they don't, because there's not many of them. And many of the states which were in play a month or 2 months ago are no longer in play. So Donald Trump, and also you're talking to someone who has displayed an appalling ignorance of the issues, almost a principled ignorance of the issues, who has displayed the inability to be disciplined or go 48 hours without saying something that for any other candidate would have knocked him out of the race already. So can he do anything? I don't think so. The question is, could Hillary Clinton do something herself that would hurt her so much that she could get really damaged in this race? And that's why what you saw last night from Hillary Clinton, strategically speaking, was a very cautious approach. Because all she wants to do is get from today, or yesterday, to November 8th in first place. And if she just plays her cards reasonably well, she'll do that. And then she'll be the president of the United States, and that's her goal in this thing. I can't speak to Donald Trump's goal in this thing because his behavior is so erratic and irrational. I don't really understand it.
All right, Lincoln Mitchell, on that note, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for speaking to us from New York.
Thank you.
Now, if